Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube world, CJ Rose is back in the building. Welcome back to the channel. All right, the NBA bubble, an experiment that wanted to see would work, wanted to see what it would do. And let me tell you, I enjoyed every minute of that bubble. Even though it's still going on now because the playoffs are tomorrow. We're going to get into the playoffs tomorrow in another video. But right now, I'm going to talk about the 8 games that 22 teams dealt with in that bubble. But I ain't going to get into every team because not every team was newsworthy. Like the Wizards were not newsworthy. The couple of the playoff teams were not newsworthy. But we're going to get into what we get into. And I'm going to just go off, I'll go off the top of the head, top of the dome. I don't write nothing except when it comes to pay-per-views and things like that. But I'm just going off top of the brain. Let's start off with the biggest news in the bubble, which was the Phoenix Suns going undefeated. I'm not going to lie to you. The Suns walking into this, I didn't automatically think they would even be close to the playing game, or even just sniffing it, just breathing it. I didn't think they would be that close, but they did it. They went 8-0, beat good teams on top of that. They beat the Mavericks. I think they beat the Rockets. They beat the Pacers. They also beat the Clippers. They beat they beat the best team, the best teams they could beat, and that's good. I'm happy for them. I was very happy for them generally, because of one Devin Booker, because Devin Booker is my guy. D-Book is my guy. And I'm glad that he was able to lead his team that far. My only problem is I just hate how they weren't battling for it. Because here's my thing, right? Memphis and Phoenix, once Phoenix won their game and then Memphis won their game on Thursday, it was Friday. Once they won on Friday, then both Phoenix and Memphis had the same record. Now, I don't know if Memphis owned the tiebreaker, which had them 9th. I don't know if that was the case. That probably was. But if both teams are tied with the same record, why can't both of them go at it to see who faces Portland? Because Portland has the 8th spot. So if there was no playing game, they would be in the 8th. They would be in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't Phoenix and Memphis go head-to-head, and then whoever wins that game faces Portland? I wish it was like that, but it is what it is. I hope Phoenix keeps their head high. Hope they just keep going straight forward, because this season, listen, this was a hell of a step. Because the funny thing is, when Phoenix started the season this year, they won their first... They were very good in their first 10 games. I think they were 7-3. In the first 10 games. So they started off good, but they started declining. So it's like, there's not much you can say. But hope Phoenix comes out of nowhere and makes a hell of a splash next season. I am ready for them to make something happen. Let's also talk about the emergence of one TJ Warren. Now, I knew about TJ Warren for a while. I've known him for a couple years. I know him more in Phoenix, because in Phoenix he was actually dropping 16 to 18 points a game. So he knew how to put the ball in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? But in this bubble, he elevated his game to the point where it's like he knew what the situation was for Indiana. Because if you look in Indiana, they aren't really necessarily 100% here. They don't have Sabonis, their best player. They don't have Sabonis, so somebody needs to step up. And we all thought it would be Victor Oladipo, but Victor Oladipo still going through his, still trying to get it right through his leg injury, and everybody else has been kind of just up and down. So TJ Warren just took it upon himself to step up, and that was the right thing to do. Because Indiana looked really good in this bubble too, thinking about it. I think they only lost a couple games. But they came in, after they came out, a positive record and a positive mindset. So once they get to Monday, I believe they played the Heat, which is going to be a crazy series. It's going to be instant. We're going to get into the playoffs. We're going to get into the playoffs next video. Trust and believe. But TJ Warren, props to you, my guy. Hope you continue what you was doing in the playoffs, boy. Let's talk about the Pelicans, who were very disappointing in this whole damn thing, because the NBA has pushed it to where if you were 4 games behind the AC, you're 4 games, you're behind the AC, then you automatically could play. East only had 1 team that was like that, while the West had 5. Was it 5? 4 or 5. Spurs, Trailblazers, Kings, Suns, Pelicans. It was 5 teams. The Pelicans were one of them. Now, I believe they pushed it to this point where they really sat and thought, okay, well, the Pelicans are going to turn it up, get to that 8th spot, and we're going to see the marquee first-round matchup of the Lakers versus the Pelicans, which means Zion versus LeBron, which, honestly, I would love to see my damn self, because that's big money. I want to see Zion step his damn game up in that series. I want to see that. I would love to see that. But apparently, Alvin Gentry didn't see it that way. So what he decided to do was only make Zion play 20 plus minutes a game. You're fighting for the 8th spot in the West. Why are you playing your best player 20 plus minutes? Sometimes he didn't even play 20 minutes. He played like 19, 18. Why is he playing so little? That's your best player. I mean, your team is good, you know. You got Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball. You know, you got Jackson Hayes. Yeah, you got good players. Play your best player. You're fighting for a spot in the playoffs. That's dumb. And you know what's funny about that? Alvin Gentry just got fired last night. Or yesterday. He got fired yesterday. And I don't blame him. I'm not mad at it. There's nothing to be mad about. I'm glad he got fired because that was dumb. Yeah. Zion is your best player and you're only playing him for... I understand that he's injury prone and get that. I get that you don't want to, exceed his limitations and everything. But you're fighting for the playoffs, dog. You're fighting for the playoffs. Why are you not playing him as best as he can? The man looked great. I said, man, the boy looked good. We saw pictures. The man looked swole. He looked jacked. He looked healthy. He's good. Play him. Damn. I'm moving on. Let's talk about MJP. Michael Porter. No, sorry. I said MJP. MPJ. Michael Porter Jr. I want to talk about him. I want to talk about how Denver needed another person on that team to help them with scoring. And I want to talk about how Michael Porter Jr. stepped up and came in the bubble and dropped 30 a game in those 8 games. I want to talk about how Michael Porter Jr. looks amazing right now. And I want to talk about how Michael Porter Jr. needs to continue this into the playoffs. Because if he continues this in the playoffs, then the Nuggets look dangerous. Because you got Jokic. Then you got Michael Porter Jr. going off. And don't sleep on Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray will put Jamal Murray will put numbers on the board. So you gotta... That's a 3-headed monster you gotta worry about. Plus, you got Gary Harris, great defender. Will Barton, solid. You got Torrey Craig. You got Bol. Let's not forget about Bol here. Like, come, there's too much depth on that Nuggets team for you to really sleep on. If Michael Porter Jr. steps up in these playoffs and does what he needs to do, I promise you, the Nuggets are going to be dangerous. Look out for Michael Porter Jr., I'm telling you. Look out for him. I want to talk about Dame Dollar. Dame, as I call him. Dame Dollar. I want to talk about Damian Lillard, who, coming into this bubble, was already going crazy, putting up ballistic numbers. In February, he was going crazy. January, February, he was losing his mind. So he comes into his bubble and looks crazy. The man looks amazing. He dropped 42, 51, 61. Like what the listen, Damian Lillard is just Damian Lillard, bro. He is just this damn good. And I think Damian Lillard still feels like he just doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And I can understand that. So from me to you, sir, I'm sorry. Even though I've given you all the credit you possibly in my life, I believe I call Damian Lillard top 5 best point guards in the game. But is he number 2 though? Well, probably at this point in time he is. Steph is still the best point guard in the game when healthy. Definitely the best point guard in the game. But Dame is a very close second, especially now in this bubble where he stepped up his game tremendously. Because not only was he scoring buckets, but he was as well dishing the ball. He was becoming a very good player. He averaged like 7 to 8 assists in that bubble. He was dropping double doubles. So he was doing his thing. So I gotta give him props on that. So we're gonna see what it's like. Again, we're gonna get into the playoffs in the next video because LA, Portland, that's gonna be a crazy series. And Portland might give the Lakers some trouble. But we're gonna get into it. Right now, we're getting this. Let's talk about who we talk about. Who's important in this bubble? Oh. Do I go there? Nah, I'm gonna hold the Lakers off because I gotta talk about LA. Let's get into Memphis. How good Memphis was. This whole season, how good Memphis was. Memphis walked into the bubble with the 8th spot. And they played their hearts out in that bubble. I gotta give them props. They only had a little bit of bad luck, only because Jaren Jackson Jr. got hurt, I think, 4 games down, something like that. 4 games left. I'm not sure. I forget, but he did get hurt. I think about last week or 2 weeks ago. So that was actually a little bit bad luck for them, but they still kept their head up and they did their thing. Yesterday, the game that they had, amazing. That was a great game against Portland. They definitely played their hearts out. Ja Morant went crazy. Ja Morant is that guy, man. In the future, look, Ja Morant, I'm telling you, he's gonna be top 5 point guards in the next 2 seasons if he keeps playing the way that he plays. He looks good, man. I salute to you, Memphis. Salute to you and everything. Let's talk about the defending champions. Let's talk about how good Toronto has been all season. Not even talking about the bubble. I'm talking about all season. The Toronto Raptors stayed the course. And they're literally probably in the same position as they were last year. They were second last year, and they won the title. They're second this year, and they have a possibility of defending the title. They have a great possibility of going to the finals. That's how good this Toronto team is. How deep it is. They got leadership. They got veteran experience. Now they got championship experience, and they still got young guys you can build upon. Pascal Siakam stepped up and became the man. He became that guy, the leader, which is good. I like Pascal Siakam. You got Kyle Lowry, who's gritty, gets down, dirty. I like Kyle Lowry. You got OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, OG Anunoby. If I didn't say his name, I probably did. My fault. Terrence Davis. And a dude I've been looking at as of late, Mr. Chris Boucher, who I've been looking at. He looks good. If he gets developed a little bit more, trust and believe, he's gonna be a problem. He's gonna be somebody you need to look at. Chris Boucher looks good. But Toronto looks good themselves. I called them my dark horse to go to the finals, but they very well are one of my favorites now. It's Toronto, Milwaukee. One of those two are going to the finals. That's a definite. I don't see no other team getting past them. I see no other team breaking that up. And that's how I see it. I want to talk about Luka Doncic. How good Luka has looked. And how he stayed the course. Because he averaged a triple-double in all 8 games. So Luka's ready. And I want to talk about how Dallas is the most dangerous 7 seed ever. Like, one of the most dangerous 7 seeds ever. Because not only are they playing an historically an historic offense, but Luka looks good. Porzingis looked great. They got a hell of a squad behind them. This team is dangerous. They're definitely we gonna get into Clippers and Mavericks, but don't not sleep on Dallas. Dallas is gonna make some noise. Luka's gonna make some noise. Look out for Luka, man. I'm telling you. So if I say Luka, the man, the man. Do I get into him now? Do I wait? I'm trying to figure out who else we can talk about. I'm gonna talk about Philly. And how Philly disappointed me this year. Because Philly was my favorite walking into the season to go to the NBA Finals. They were my favorites. Because they were literally one game away from the finals. Now, I know they were in the semifinals last year and, Toronto won. But if it wasn't for that shot, I promise you, the Philly would have won that series. And they would have went to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, who did not look good at all. Went there, beat them, go to the final against the Warriors, who turned up what they turned up. And they probably would be champions right now. But that's a what if that you just can't guess. Or that you just can't assume. So you can only just guess. But no Ben Simmons, so that's their no Ben Simmons, so that's their playmaking is somewhat gone. And most of their offense, a good amount of their offense are gone, so Philly got a lot of work to do against Boston in the playoffs. If Embiid steps up his game in the first round, Boston's going to have a little bit of trouble. Because there's nobody on that team that can stop Joel Embiid if he's on his game. That's all I got to say. But Philly, it sucks. But we'll see what happens. They got a lot of money tied up to 4 players on that team. So I don't know how free agency looks for them. But Philly, I hope y'all keep your heads up. So I got to say, keep your heads up. Y'all good. Just keep your heads up. Yeah, about to get into it. Let's get into it. All right. No. I want to talk about one more thing before I get to Lakers. I want to talk about San Antonio. I want to talk about the Spurs. I want to talk about their 22 to 23 year streak of playoffs ended. We saw something that I didn't think would ever. This feels like it feels like the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak ending. It just sucks. Because every year we always sit here and just go, well, we know the Spurs are gonna make the playoffs because they always do. They always find a way to get to the playoffs. Would it be a 7 seed, 8 seed? They find a way. They almost did this year. Almost. Just a game and a half. A game and a half to 2 games back. They almost made it, but they didn't. So, congratulations to the Spurs. Well, why am I congratulating them? Shout out to the Spurs, man. One of the best organizations in NBA history. 5 titles. Greg Popovich, one of the greatest coaches of all time. It sucks, man, but this is the time to rebuild. So hopefully this offseason they rebuild and get better and get back to the prominence of what they once were. But praying for all the success, man. We here. I'm going to talk about the beard. I'm going to talk about James Harden. How good Harden's looked and how good he stays looking. Harden is one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen play. And it's crazy to say that. Because if you look at his numbers, he's putting up Jordan numbers. And that's crazy to say, but it's the truth. He's putting up Jordan and Kobe numbers. I've never seen nobody score like this since Kobe. Harden is on a tear. This is the second year in a row Harden's averaging 30 plus. 30 plus twice. No. Is it 3 times? I don't know if it's the second year or 30 in a row, but Harden's going off. The only thing is now how the Rockets going to do in the playoffs. Again, we'll get into it. But we're going to see how they do. Harden. If Harden goes off, man, then it's going to be a long night for whoever they face. But it is what it is, man. That is what it is. Harden, salute to you. Keep doing your thing, boy. Now, let's get into LA. Let's get into the Lakers. Because all I've been hearing for the last couple of weeks is the Lakers don't look good. The Lakers don't look ready. The Lakers are this. The Lakers are that. You got to understand something. LeBron James does this every year. He don't go hard in the final games of the season. He doesn't. He doesn't. And that's obvious. He does not go off the last couple games of the season. These were 8 games. Couple of them were seeding games for some teams. Not for the Lakers. The Lakers were going to stay first if the Clippers decided to go ballistic in this bubble, which they didn't. So you have to take that for what it is. But LA is still first. And trust me, the Lakers are ready for the playoffs. They might have a hard time against Portland, but they're ready for the playoffs. I promise you they're ready for the playoffs. LeBron is ready. We all know about playoff LeBron. And you know what's funny? The last time we talked about LeBron James and not being ready in the playoffs was in 2018, where he dragged one of the worst teams he's ever been on to the NBA Finals. Sure, they went to 2 series with 7 games. Went to 2 7-game series and 1 sweep. Surprisingly, 1 sweep. But he dragged that team to the finals. And the team he's on now is definitely better than that team. He got Anthony Davis, one of the top 5 best players in the game. He's got a hell of a... I mean, that trust me, those role players aren't bad. We talking Kuzma, who if he listen, if you give Kuzma any type of light, that man will drop 20-something. Dwight Howard's look good. JaVale McGee is solid. And 2-time champion, I might add. J.R. Smith, a former champion. Dion Waiters could score. You know, you got I forgot what was on that team. Danny Green, former champion, 2-time champion. 2-time? Yeah, 2-time champion. Maybe 3-time. I have to look back at it. But they do have pieces. So they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They're ready. They're ready. Tomorrow? No, I think they play Tuesday. Tuesday, they'll be ready. The Lakers are ready. LeBron is ready. LeBron just does this all the time. You just have to understand. LeBron's ready. And yeah. That's me just rambling about what I seen and what I picked up from the bubble. Now we gotta get into another video where we talk about the playoffs. Let's predict these playoffs. You know how I do with predictions. So let's get it. It's been Rose, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the love and support as always. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do, man. Until next time, peace, love, 100. Yeah.